Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the AGL Krillin and Gohan Kid dilemma on the battlefield and how they do after their Extreme Z Awakening. Now Krillin and Gohan were an interesting unit when they first came out. The thing they always struggled with, and it still seems like somewhat of an issue, is ki. As a unit, they require ki. They always have. It's a very crucial component to how they function. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but let's go through their details. Rapid growth category, ki +4, HP attack and defense of 150%, with 100% for AGL type units, raising attack and defense on their 12 ki, and greatly raising attack and defense on their 18 ki. This isn't a permanent state of being though, and we'll talk about that just now. Attack and defense of 170% with medium chance of evasion, which is 30%. An additional ki +1 per ki sphere obtained, an additional ki +1 if it's a rainbow ki sphere. An additional attack and defense of 50% with 20% evasion chance when performing a super attack. An additional 50% attack and launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super when ki is 18 or more. Launches an additional super attack that also gets another 20% evasion chance when ki is 24. So what's super important is that basically they can have a 70% evasion chance once they fire their ultra super. On top of that, they fire multiple supers. On top of that, they also get big attack and defense boosts as well when performing that super. So all in all, not too bad. The active skill can be activated from the third turn from the start of battle. Kamehameha, Solid Support, Cold Judgment, Infighters, Shocking Speed, Fierce Battle, and Legendary Power are their link sets. In terms of build, I think this is where things get interesting. They will activate their transformation immediately upon firing 4 super attacks. So if you're lucky with an additional build, 1 turn. If you're unlucky, 2 turns. Now in their transform state or their costume change state, they have attack and defense of 200%. They have baseline 50% evasion. They still have the same ki mechanics, but now get 2 per ki sphere instead of 1. They get slightly more attack and defense when attacking, and they also get 20% evasion chance, so that puts them up to their 70% again. But instead of getting further evasion upon ki of 24, they instead get crit chance of 30%. So generally speaking, for this unit, for me, I find that they're like in a weird state, where for me, I believe you want to give them additional and crit. Primary, probably additional. See, all the additional super attacks really help them with raising their defense for their transform state. Your defense in your transform state can really range from being like 400k to being like 700k, and it's very dependent on how many supers you manage in like those 2 turns before they transform. That's kind of the big thing here, realistically. On top of that as well, crit does help out because 30% is a decent rate of crit, but I wouldn't say it's an absolute amazing rate of crit. Their 70% evasion, although only really kicking in both forms on them being maxed out, honestly isn't bad. Like when I say isn't bad, I mean it's more than fine to depend upon. You could give them more evasion, but I just don't think it's necessary. After super, they will have pretty high raw defense. They have decent starter turn defense in their transform state. And of course, they also have the ability to have 70% evasion. So for me, I would say overall, probably not the biggest issue, like just in general. That would just be me personally. I would say really not an issue to me. I'm actually really quite happy with them after super. I think for me, they are definitely a very second or third slot orientated unit. They are not intrinsically a first slot unit. They can build up their defense pretty solidly, but I would say they are not intrinsically an openly first slot, type of unit. I think for me, they 100% with all their evasion look great as like a floating damage dealer. That's just how I feel. One super important mechanic that you do need to take note of is the active skill can be used twice. So it can be used once before transformation. It can also be used once after transformation, which is ultimately pretty good. The big issue they have, for me, functionally, is that they have obviously Core Judgment as a link, and they are still very key required. I think the issue is that ultimately when it comes down to key, they still need to get to 24, and even with their key mechanics, they can be in a situation where they are not getting that 24 key. And that 24 key is very crucial towards how well they do overall. Like, I genuinely find it to be super crucial towards how they do as a pairing. Like, I think it's very, very important. So for me, overall, I'm going to be honest, I think key is still a slight issue. You need to pair them with people that give you shocking speed. I think it's very crucial to seeing how well they do. I think then as well, also, you need to take a look at, of course, Core Judgment. Very difficult to get alongside shocking speed. They do have some really good linking partners, but then it comes down to categories. For example, they can link with another Krillin and Gohan youth, which gives them pretty much everything you need, but they only fit on Earthbred fighters and joint forces, both of which don't currently give them a 200% lead. Overall, I think they're solid. I think they're an okay damage dealing unit, and I think they're fine as like kind of a floater, but I think outside of that, I would not say that they are intrinsically amazing. Yeah, they're a good damage dealer. Like, I think they're a good unit. Mine has one dupe, so I have one dupe of the unit, 69%. Very solid unit, not extensively, super crazy, but I think overall pretty damn good. For me, that's probably where I would let it be, but it is what it is. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm really quite happy with like how these units performed and everything, and yeah, I would probably say overall I think they're a good unit. I think you can definitely use them. I do think they are relatively easy to use. They don't have any conditional requirements really, so beyond that, yeah, I'd say overall they're solid. Obviously, I think for some people there's considerations around like, how well did they do, where can I fit them in, and that I do think is something that is hard to evaluate, because realistically speaking, they don't have outright like a position in the team. They're not providing support, and I think Kamehameha more than anything else needs a first slot tank. Yes, Gohan in his transform state can be a first slot tank in both rotations, but then these guys don't really link super well with Gohan, so you just kind of want to float them, and they don't really provide a lot of utility outside of that. Even if they just provided key to the rest of the rotation or something, or maybe just like a 1 turn boost to attack and defense, or maybe just for the following turn, like a 20%, I think then it would be pretty good. You could obviously just have them kind of floating, providing a little bit of assistance and a tiny bit of utility. I think that's maybe where they fall down. They seem like a solid damage dealer, solid defensively after super, but then things kind of fall a little bit apart then, and you don't really have like a huge reason to use them. Links wise, shocking speed priority, Core Judgment priority. Getting it to them is very hard, so just focus on like Kamehameha, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, and shocking speed. Like I said, that 24 key is very, very crucial, and until the costume change, it is actually still somewhat difficult to get it, so I would highly suggest that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Overall, cool unit, but yeah, I think that's it for me, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, as always, take care, stay safe. Let me know what you think of the unit, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care, stay safe, and bye.